All right, let's talk about building a digital fortress. Today, we're going to dive into the key AWS services that you can use to protect your applications from, well, all the constant threats out there on the web. Let's get right into it.
So, you did it. Your application is built, it's live, it's out there in the cloud. But now what? Is it actually safe? I mean, this is the question that keeps so many of us up at night. How do you protect your hard work from the countless attacks happening every single second?
Now, the key here isn't some single magic bullet. It's really about building a complete security solution with multiple layers, kind of like a medieval fortress. Each layer has a very specific job to do, and today we're going to assemble that fortress piece by piece using some incredible AWS tools.
Okay, so where do we start? Well, every good fortress needs a strong gate and a really vigilant gatekeeper. In our AWS fortress, that gatekeeper is the Web Application Firewall, or WAF for short. It's the very first service that gets to inspect traffic before it even thinks about reaching your application.
So what is it really? At its heart, AWS WAF is a filter, a very, very smart filter. It just sits right there in front of your app, and it inspects every single web request, every get, every post, and then it decides, is this legit or is this malicious? And it makes that call long before it can do any harm.
And this is what's so cool about it. Look at the sheer range of what WAF can protect. It's not just for some old-school web server. It can shield your CDN with CloudFront, your serverless APIs through API Gateway, and it can even protect your user authentication pools incognito. That makes it an incredibly versatile first line of defense.
So how does it actually work? Well, it all boils down to these four simple but super powerful actions. You can run it in a default allow mode, where you only block the bad stuff you know about. Or if you have a really sensitive app, you can flip it and block everything by default, only allowing very specific trusted requests. Now, count mode, that's brilliant for testing out new rules without accidentally breaking your app, and challenge is your go-to weapon against all that annoying bot traffic.
And this is where it gets really powerful. You can get incredibly granular. I mean, you can block traffic from entire countries if you want. You can inspect for specific patterns inside the request headers. And this is absolutely critical. You can use it to stop common attacks like SQL injection and cross-site scripting right at the edge.
Okay, so our gatekeeper is great at checking IDs and spotting shady characters, one by one. But what happens when a whole army shows up and just tries to smash the gate down? For that, you're going to need a heavy shield.
And that, right there, is exactly what AWS Shield Advanced is built for. We're not talking about filtering clever or malicious requests anymore. We're talking about defending against pure, brute force floods of traffic that are designed to completely overwhelm your application and just knock it offline. This is all about surviving those massive infrastructure-level attacks.
Now, this is a super common point of confusion, so let's just nail this down right now. Think of it like this. WAF is the smart surgical tool. It looks inside the requests for things like SQL injection. Shield Advanced is the brute force defense. It's the heavy shield that stands in front of everything and just absorbs those massive traffic floods. You really need both.
And that's the thing to remember. With Shield Advanced, you're not just buying a tool, you're getting a full-on service. It includes automatic mitigation and really deep visibility into any attacks. But honestly, the real game changer is having 24/7 access to the Shield response team. These are actual AWS experts who are there to help you during a DDoS event.
Okay, so we have our gatekeeper and we have our heavy shield. Our fortress is pretty well defended from outside attacks. But what if there are weaknesses inside the walls? For that, we need a watchtower, a proactive security director for our entire network. And this is a really crucial shift in mindset, right? We're moving from just reacting to attacks to proactively managing our security. This watchtower isn't just sitting around waiting for something to happen. Its whole job is to constantly scan your environment, analyze your setup, and tell you where you're vulnerable before an attacker can find that weakness.
So how does it do it? The process is actually pretty straightforward, but really powerful. First, it discovers all your resources. Then, it evaluates them against best practices, and it'll rate any findings by how severe they are. Finally, and this is the key part, it gives you the exact steps you need to take to fix the problem. So, for example, it might flag a security group that's a little too permissive, leaving a port wide open, and it'll tell you precisely how to lock it down.
And get this, the way you interact with it is super modern. We're not just talking about some static report. You can actually interact with the findings using natural language, asking questions like you were talking to a human security expert. It makes deep security analysis way more accessible.
So we've got a gatekeeper, a heavy shield, and a watchtower. We have all the right pieces. But what if your fortress isn't just one castle? What if it's a massive kingdom with hundreds of them? How do you manage security consistently across all of them? Well, you need a central command center.
And let's be real, this is a problem pretty much any growing organization faces. Trying to manually apply WAF rules and shield protections across dozens or even hundreds of AWS accounts, it's a nightmare. It's inconsistent, it's error-prone, and it just doesn't scale. This is where Firewall Manager comes in and, honestly, saves the day. It uses this simple but powerful define once, deploy everywhere model. You create your security policies in one central place, and then Firewall Manager automatically enforces them across all your accounts and resources, even new ones that you spin up tomorrow. It's security automation at scale.
Okay, so let's take a step back and look at the whole picture here. These aren't just 4 separate tools we talked about. They're actually components of a single, cohesive strategy for building a truly resilient digital fortress.
And here it is, our fortress, fully assembled. You've got the WAF as your gatekeeper, inspecting everyone who comes to the door. You have Shield Advanced as your heavy shield, deflecting the cannonballs. The Security Director is your watchtower, spotting any weaknesses in the walls. And finally, Firewall Manager is the command center, making sure every guard in every tower is following the exact same orders.
So as we wrap this up, the question you should be asking yourself isn't just, do I have a firewall? It's, have I built a complete, multi-layered fortress? Because the threats out there are always evolving, and our defenses, well, they need to be ready for what's next.